In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the differences between the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Whoop. Oh no, and the Whoop. Now, what's interesting is I was very skeptical before I bought these devices. I'm like, why do you need all that data, blah, 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 blah. However, these devices have actually changed the game for me. They've actually changed my life in very meaningful ways, but they're both like not really needed. And actually, I wish there was some sort of device that combined both of them, but let's jump straight into the pros. So first, the Apple Watch. The reason why I think the Apple Watch is so powerful is because when I was younger, I used to love watches, you know, fancy watches, the G-Shocks, the Armani, all that sort of stuff. However, once you get an Apple Watch, you basically jump straight out of that whole game, right? Because you're not thinking of buying some fancy watch. You just get a utility watch, and once you buy it, you're done. Now, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is also great because as well as being a watch with which I can tell the time, because I work in different sort of countries, I can have like the world clock on my watch face. So when I look at it, I can see what time it is in New York, what time it is in Dallas, where my family is. I can see what time it is in London. I can see what time it is in Toronto, where I have friends as well. So like just the fact that I can get so much information in the watch, it makes it unbeatable, right? In my Apple Watch, I can see, you know, when sundown is. So that if I'm going for a run, I know when sunshine will sort of finish. I can see the date. I can see my schedule. There's so much to this watch that makes it just more than like a watch that tells the time. So that's the second pro. The third pro is it's extremely durable. So when I did my first marathon, I was wearing a different watch and that watch ran out of battery, guys. I was like 10K into the run and it just died. I think it told me I ran the marathon in like 1 hour, which is ridiculous, right? But this one, genuinely, I can go for days without it being charged. There was a time where I think I forgot the charger at home. I went on a weekend trip. I got back from the weekend trip. It still had about, I think it had like 20% battery life, which is just, it's nuts, right? Those are all the pros. Let's go through the pros for the Whoop. Now the Whoop is great for a number of reasons. The first thing is just the form factor. Like it's a tiny, tiny device. When I wear it, sometimes I forget I'm wearing it, right? There's been days where I forgot I even had this thing on because it's so small. It's tiny, it's easy to just kind of like forget about. It slips really well under like wherever you're wearing. So it just doesn't stand out in the same way the Apple Watch does. The second thing is the amount of data the Whoop gives you is actually kind of crazy. Now, I know people think like it's over exaggerating, but like it tells me so much about myself. Like when I go through the Connected app on the phone, it literally knows when I fell asleep. There was a time where I actually timed myself, right? So just before I fell asleep, I tapped the stopwatch. And when I woke back up, I tapped it. So I knew exactly how long I slept for. And when I checked the Whoop, it got it right. Like it was like maybe a few seconds off. And I thought that's crazy. So it's really, really accurate for me knowing my HRV, for me knowing my rest and heart rate, for me seeing trends. And the best feature I actually think of it is the Whoop Coach. Because if you think about large language models, right, they're fed lots of data. And from that data, they can answer questions. The Whoop app, because essentially you wear it, I've worn it for like over a year, like every day, it's got all this data about my breathing, my sleeping, hydration, all these different things. So when I ask it a question like, oh, is today a good day to go for a run? It can tell me immediately using data because it's been trained with this sort of essentially large language model. For me, that's such a key part of this thing. And it's why I love using it because it takes the guesswork out of my training when I'm trying to get fitter. It also sends me alerts, right? So when my sleep is bad for like 10 days in a row, normally I just wouldn't notice it. However, now that I have this, once it sends me that notification, I know that, okay, you know what? Your sleep hasn't been good for a while. You need to kind of switch things up. But yeah. They have great pros, but there are cons, and we have to talk about the cons, right? So the cons of the Apple Watch, you can tell it's so bulky. Like it's a really big device, and actually when I wear it for a day, when I get home, the first thing I take off after a long day is my Apple Watch because it just feels heavy. I've had it for like the whole day. There's a bit of sweat under it. Like it's heavy, and for me, that heaviness is a massive con. Second is I don't think it looks that good. I'll be so honest that when I'm wearing a nice outfit, just like this massive computer on my watch, on my wrist, sorry, it's just a bit like, All the cons for me are about the size because it also means I can't really sleep with it. It also does sleep tracking and stuff like that, but I think you have to have lost your mind to sleep with this computer on your wrist. You're just not gonna sleep with it. So for me, that's a big, big no-no. Is the size of it and how bulky it is, how heavy it is, makes it hard for me to like really just trust it and just use it alone. However, it's unparalleled in the sort of way it helps me see notifications. I can take phone calls on this, like it's quite good for that. The other problem, if you like, is true with this, because it's so small that sometimes I actually forget to check it. And there have been some days that I just haven't noticed it, I haven't checked the data. Sometimes the data can be very overwhelming. I actually think the most recent update they did on the Whoop low-key ruined it. Like there's just so much information now and it's kind of hard to process. I know they tried to make it simpler, but it makes you guess more, which means you do more digging, which means like it gets more confusing. So actually for me, I feel like the Whoop, they just need to go back a tiny bit and really just simplify. Give me 3 numbers. I know what the 3 numbers are and help me kind of understand things that way. Now they've got all these different, there's a sleep, there's a recovery tab. It's just a bit too complicated. It's like the good thing is also the bad thing about the Whoop. The data is great, but if you're not in the mood, it's just too much data. And then the other big issue I have with it is, so obviously to make sense of the data, it asks you this like, for this daily diary thing where you have to kind of say whether you spend time with friends, whether you had an ice bath, whether you ate late. And sometimes it gets really, really long. Like so sometimes it's asking me 20 questions and it gets ridiculous because you'll ask you a question like, oh, did you have protein today? I'll be like, yes. And it'll be like, how many grams? Who's measuring how many grams of protein they had? And they'll ask me, when did you have your last gram of protein or whatever? I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So all that information is a bit too much. The dilemma for people like me is, I love the Apple Watch and the fact that it helps me just have a glance view of what's happening in my life, my schedule, that sort of thing. I love the Whoop because of the information it gives me about my sleep and how life is going and all that sort of stuff. I just wish they were together. I wish there was some app that had a small enough form factor, but also the battery life works really, really well, like in cohesion, and it would make sense. I hate the fact that I have to wear 2 of these. It just looks ridiculous. Being that guy walking around with double watch on, I just wish there was one thing I could wear that worked well. That for me is my preference, but until they bring out that magical device, I'm going to be rocking these 2 because I think they're both great. If you're thinking about which one to buy, feel free to DM me any questions or ask me. I will happily answer it. They both really changed the game for me, to be quite frank. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you're looking to get one. Let me know which one you're looking to get. If you have any questions at all, drop a comment. I will answer it for you. And if it's your first time here, feel free to hit the subscribe button, turn your notification bell on so you can see when I next post a video. Drop a like and I'll see you in the next one.